See how things go. Welcome to Sunday night. Welcome to the wonderful world of Generation X. Every Sunday night, 8 p.m. Eastern time ish, we get together in the former time slot that we used to enjoy as kids watching the wonderful world of Disney. But now instead we get together, same time, different channel, and discuss all things Gen X. Talk about what it was like growing up in the 70s, in the 80s, some of us younger Xers in the 90s. 3 decades that were pre-tech, or mostly pre-tech, that served as the gap between no things tech and all things tech, and the generation that helped span that chasm. See, Laura's coming in. What's going on, Laura? Glad I didn't keep you waiting. GD, hello. Kristen, first one in the house over on YouTube. Tamara coming in from Georgia. How are you? Chris Brown, happy Sunday. Happy Labor Day weekend. Hope everybody's having a great weekend. For those of us with kids up in the north, I know you're sending your kids back to school next week. Grandkids for some of us, I guess. My 13-year-old Cleo, she went back to school like 3 weeks ago. So done deal already. But I know some of you are doing that now. So there is that. Cross post to more pages. That's new. I'll have to check that out otherwise. What does that mean? Okay, that means that. All right. Deborah, hello. Salutations. Amber, hello. Just a Jim of all trades. Good to see you in the house. Anthony, hello. Humboldt, coming in from Northern California, Redwood Coast. Hello. Justin Nugent, how are you? Good to see everybody. It has come to my attention, and I might as well mention that if, especially on Facebook, you guys are waving, are saying hello, are trying to get my attention, and I'm ignoring you, I'm not ignoring you. Apparently, Facebook kind of prioritizes messages based on some sort of Terminator-level AI. So I may not see what you're typing in, no matter how feverishly or often you retype it. What's going on, Rena? Ready for the mudslides. Happy Labor Day, everybody. Go Bills. How do I go live? I hit the button. Do the truffle shuffle. Actually, I don't have enough truffle to shuffle. Thank God. But that's not a call I'm taking. Hello, Jimmy from West Virginia. Lori bringing us college football weekend back. Juliana coming in from Western New York. Jody from Washington State. Wirehead, what's going on, my Canuck buddy? Sheila Bug, hello. I don't speak English. Well, you're doing pretty well. Who are my top three? What's going on, Life? Good to see you, my friend. What's going on, Joseph? Hit what button? Hit the go live button, I guess, dude. I don't know. There's a button that has a little plus thing on my, and I hit it and I go live and then boom, here I am. What's going on, Dave from St. Louis? Brian, good to see you, buddy. Celebrating in Ohio, my buddy Jeremy Sellers. Go Bills again. Dude, we're getting close to NFL. Sheila, thank you for gifting a membership. Appreciate you over on YouTube. It's the first one to get it started. Guys, thank you for the diamonds. Thank you for the likes. Thank you for the donations, the super chats over on YouTube. Those of you who joined the subscribe button over on Facebook for 99 cents a month. All that good stuff. Thank you. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube. Smash that button. And also, in addition to that, make sure you guys are hitting the notification bell if you want to be notified when I go live or when I post a new video. Just know that I post about 3 or 4 videos a day, so it could get annoying if you don't want to see me that often. Doug McClure, how are you? Lori, hello. So, guys, I was talking over on Instagram before I jumped over. I decided to go show my Instagram followers some love. We were talking about back to school, and more specifically, Tom McCann. You know, going to Buster Brown, going to the mall with our parents, school shopping. Do you guys remember what that was like? There were very few scenarios in my life growing up that had more danger involved. Going to church, dangerous. We acted up, that was a spanking. Going to the mall for school shopping. If not navigated properly, the store was a dangerous place for us to be in because my mom warned us. Usually, when we would go to stores, we'd go one way, she'd go another. We'd go straight to the toy departments, she would get what she needed to do, and then we'd meet somewhere in the middle at some point. Or, more often than not, we were stuck in the car. Wirehead, thank you for my $2. And yes, it's Canadian, but Wirehead starting our tradition. Better Off Dead, released this week, by the way, guys, 40 years ago. The tradition of donating $2 to the cause. That's all I want. I want my $2, so thank you for giving it to me. Wayne County, New York, where I grew up, Tracy. I recognize you. I see you. Yeah, going to the store was dangerous. If my mom let us in, like I said, usually we went our way, she went hers. But for school shopping, we had to be together. We couldn't be stuck in the car waiting for her to come back. We had to try on the clothes she told us to try on. We had to agree with her that the shoes weren't too big, but we actually needed that much room to grow in. We had to abide by what she decided to buy us. Instead of the Levi's I wanted, it was the Sears Toughskins that she was willing to buy. And if you disagreed, that was a spanking. The only thing more dangerous than church or school shopping may have been the trip to J.C. Penney or Olin Mills. Sheila Bud, thank you for the gifts. That was also dangerous because if we didn't behave, if we messed up our hair, what's going on, Travin? Then that was a spanking as well. But I hated school shopping. I hated having to try on the clothes. And my mom being in the dressing room with me up to like age 15. I hated having to sit there and get the shoes she wanted me to buy. I hated the corduroy. I hated seeing my friends who were equally miserable when we were in there. It just wasn't a fun situation. Garanimals, anyone? And I talked about it. Your mom worked at Olin Mills. God bless you. The reason Garanimals existed was because a company realized we were home alone getting ready for school. Today, there's no need for Garanimals because parents know how to match clothes. You know who needs Garanimals? 12-year-olds, 10-year-olds, 8-year-olds that are dressing themselves because mom, dad, someone's either still asleep because they worked all night or they're just not home at all. You want proof that we dressed ourselves? Look at any of our school pictures from kindergarten through like fifth grade. It's stripes and plaids and polka dots. It's whatever we grabbed that morning. You can tell we dressed ourselves. But now school shopping, my 13-year-old and her mother are just sitting there on the phone, scrolling through Amazon, going to H&M, going to all these wonderful places. It's this magical experience. It wasn't like that for me. Plaid bell bottoms, hand-me-downs. Sheila says, do I remember Izod? I remember it existing, Sheila. I didn't own any Izod. I had, David mentions polo shirts. The only thing worse than not getting Izod, than not getting polo, than not getting the actual Adidas, I always talk about it, it's getting the close enough, the it will do brand, the deal with it. And by that, I mean tracks. It had one extra stripe. It wasn't Adidas. It was close enough. I didn't have polo. I had JCPenney Hunt Club. Still a guy on a horse, but you could tell from 3,000 yards away that it wasn't a polo emblem, a polo logo. It was JCPenney. I didn't always have, like I said, Levi's. Sometimes it was Sears, Roebucks, what were those things called? They didn't bend at the knees. It was like wearing a suit of armor. You walked like this for the first 3 weeks at school. Thank you so much, Jim of all trades, master of none. I appreciate the $1.99. The Toughskins. Yeah, Anthony. I mean, they didn't bend at the knees. You walked like Frankenstein for the first 3 weeks of school. And you'd get home at night and you'd take off your pants because school clothes and play clothes were a thing when we grew up. We had to change clothes. I remember taking the Toughskins off and my knees, my legs would be blue from like the ink that it would stain my legs. Converse all of your life. Maroon corduroy pants. I think I had maroon corduroy pants, Deborah. The maroon was big for the corduroy pants, but how many of you had the V-neck maroon velour sweater? That was another staple of our school shopping lives. Most of us at one point or another were decked out in velour, which I don't think even exists anymore. It was Velvet's cheaper, dumber cousin. Linda, good to see you, honey. Thank you so much. Commented on and super thanked an old video too. I appreciate you so much. Glad to see you here. I made it on time, Linda. You say I'm always late? I was early today. But yeah, look, that velour came in, hey Ray, I see you, buddy. Came in like a dark blue. It came in a maroon. And some people have recorded like a Kelly green, which I haven't seen that color since the 80s. There was no give, no room to move in Sears Toughskins. The best hat roll in the business. Dude, I appreciate you, Jay. Good evening, Lynn, coming in from Connecticut. Oh my God, says Amy, I forgot about Buster Brown. Now, the cool thing was, Candy James, thank you for the dollar. Appreciate you. The cool thing was that when you would leave the shoe store, if you got out of it alive, if you didn't know your mother too much, I don't know if it was Tom McCann, Buster Brown, or all of the above, they had a big helium tank on the way out the door, and you'd get like a helium balloon on your way out. And kids, I don't know if kids today are as excited about the little things like that. Colleen says I had the V-neck sweater in blue. Um, I was so excited about that stupid balloon. And I'm not talking when I was 4 or 5. I stayed excited about that stupid balloon. Kinney shoes. I think it was Kinney shoes. At 7 years old, at 8 years old, at 9 years old, at 10 years old. We were just, little things still made me really happy. I stayed a kid longer than kids stay kids today in one segment of our lives, and yet we grew up so much faster than kids grow up on the other segment. Margaret says, love you, brother. Keep them coming. God bless you. God bless you as well, Margaret. Thank you. Did I buy anything from Spencer's? Yeah, of course I did. I got my Far Side calendars from Spencer's. Buttons. All the buttons on my jean jacket probably came from Spencer's. Posters. There was nothing as satisfying as the click, click, clack, clack as you flip the poster rack over. That all came from Spencer's. I wanted a plasma globe. Remember those when they came out? You would touch them and it would be all Star Trek-y. That was Spencer's. I never got it, but I wanted it. Earth shoes I never owned. Slouchy socks I remember. Douglas McClure. Fresh Prince's parents just don't understand. Summed up our school clothes shopping. Yeah, the beating he got in that song. Exactly. And thank you for the 5. You just covered 2.5 people's $2. So thank you so much. Dude, the funniest thing for me, though, is when you'd make eye contact with that kid you knew in school when he was getting what for from his mom. Whether it was actually getting yelled at or a full down beat down in the aisle of Kmart, when you were either the kid, Marie Clayton, my mom dressed me in plaid when I was little. I lived in plaid, Marie. I feel your pain. Trax was Kmart. No, I think it was Sears. It might have been both. Because at one point Sears bought Kmart. I think Sears started with Trax, and they were the ones with the extra stripe. Great American Shoe Store. I'd forgotten about that one. What's going on, hot chick? Long time no see. Good to see you, hon. That was the best for me, though. When you made it was good when you saw your friend getting the beat down because that meant you were able to roast them to pieces. The worst is, though, when you looked up, made eye contact as you were getting an ass whooping and saw the girl you had a crush on, the guy you had a crush on, your best friend on the other side of the store witnessing it. That sucked. Sonia says shoulder pads were awesome. I wore those even when they were out of style. Vans, I wasn't a Vans guy. Like I said, especially early on, my parents came over here from Greece. Things were tight. Money was hard. And initially, we bought like the sneakers that came out of the Bin-O sneakers. You know, supermarket sneakers were the ones that I wore in my earliest memories. Eventually, I started working. The restaurant started doing well. We could pretty much get whatever we wanted, especially with our own money. But initially, I didn't have things like Vans, supermarket sneakers, Bobos. That was the go-to. That's what it started with. Docs, low top Nikes. Yeah, those were my teens. What's going on, Stacy? By the time I was 16, I'd already been working a couple years. I actually worked at a clothing store called Gallows. And I swear to God, you could buy things and then he would just take it out of our paycheck with a deep discount. The guy was awesome about that. Mr. Gallo was incredible. He was really super ridiculously generous with us kids. At the time, I thought he was a hard ass, but all our employers were hard asses when we were growing up, I think. Do you guys remember your first jobs? Do you remember your after school jobs? I mean, I think we all had summer jobs, and then they didn't really want to let us go. So they're like, I'll work with you. You know, can you still work the weekends? I remember my first after school job. I remember my first summer job. Linda said I never cared about fashions, and it shows. I don't know. Even not caring about fashion is a fashion choice. You didn't necessarily care about trends, but most of us had our own style one way or the other. What's going on, Jessica? So yeah, I remember my first job, and Mr. Gallo, I worked for Mr. Altieri. I remember working for Chuck Fredericks. I still remember working for my parents. That was just a no-brainer at the diner, but they were tough on us. They expected a lot out of us. I'm seeing first jobs being dishwasher. First job was KFC. First job was a dishwasher. Anybody have a paper route? I mean, that was a big job. You get up before school, get those papers ready, deliver them before school, then go to school, and maybe even have an after run. Grocery stores were a big one. I worked cutting grass, young. Babysitters was a big one. Bussing at a steakhouse. Baled hay all summer. Bag boy. First job was in a restaurant. Two grumpy Italian men. I mean, grumpy men. Dude, Mr. Gallo told me he would break his foot off in my ass so often, I started looking for it in there. It's just move faster, work harder, get it done. But then at Christmas, he would double my paycheck, without a word about it. It would happen. That was like the bonus. If I had a school function going on and I'm like, Mr. Gallo, I can't get my shift covered. You're fine. School comes first. Go to school. There's a dance, Mr. Gallo. That's okay. That comes first. Go do that. It was pretty cool. I knew some bad girls in high school who stripped. Well, we'll leave that alone. My first job was to look after my sister. I feel bad those who were little chunkies. Kmart in the apparel department, grass cutting, snow, tire buster at a Marathon gas station. A lot of jobs. Now, as a parent, when my oldest turned 14, I got her a job. A friend of ours owned a restaurant, and I'm like, could she work a few hours? I'd like for her to work, after school a couple days a week. I'd like for her to work on the weekends. It teaches kids stuff. Travis says my first job was a fireworks warehouse, 100% illegal, paid cash under the table. But I mean, that's the crazy thing, Trevin. If I look at my Social Security earnings record, for those of us stateside in the United States, you can look at your Social Security earnings record. You can go to mysocialsecurity.gov. It'll show every dollar since you first held a legal job on the table, earnings reported job. Mine goes back to when I was 14. I made $2,000 that year, which doesn't sound like a lot, but adjusted for inflation, a kid going to school full time, that was, and I worked at the restaurant. Linda, it's important. It taught her too many. I just did a video today. Again, new anxiety popped up for Gen Z, supposedly, right? I take these things with a grain of salt. I've got a Gen Z daughter. I don't see her with all these anxieties that are being reported. But if you believe what's being reported, refueling anxiety is now a new anxiety to add to the list. Not only do kids from 14 to 27 report having anxiety about talking on the phone, ordering at a menu, having to make a scheduled appointment with the doctor, using the bathroom at school and or at work. Now the latest is refueling anxiety. They get anxiety over the fact that they have to fuel up. So a lot of them just literally run out of gas. I'm like, if you want anxiety, drive through West Virginia looking for a gas station. I remember going on spring break to Florida, passing through rural West Virginia. Like I had just watched Deliverance for the first time, and I'm lost in West Virginia running on fumes, swearing to God I could hear banjo music. That's anxiety. Being in a broad daylight, in an urban area, a nice, and not being and afraid to pump gas because they don't know if they'll pick the right gas. The lines make them nervous. They don't know if they remember which side of the car the pump is on, the tank is on. There's an arrow, by the way, on your gas gauge that tells you that. 20% of them report either making their parents refuel for them or taking their parents with them so they can refuel. It's insane to me. But it's because of things like that I wanted my 14-year-old to work, predominantly as a server. Because as a server, you deal with so many different kinds of people. And they're coming at you at all times. So every 5 minutes, there's a stranger in your face that you need to greet, that you need to serve, that you need to manage, that you need to address, that you may need to calm down, that you may need to disappoint, it is the best. I'm telling you, if you have a kid that's shy, find a way to get them to throw on a server's apron and just deal with people. It's hard, but it fixes things. On the upside, parents are changing that for Generation Alpha. Listen, I think I was pretty good with my oldest daughter. I'm blessed with how great she is. Even I will admit to making changes. For for my youngest. So Cleo, that a lot of you know at 13, she's not having the same experience. She's not having the same father exactly that Sultana did. Sultana reported me that she was having a problem at school. I was at school. She reported somebody bullying her or bothering her. I was there instantly. And I still support Cleo, but there's more of a semblance of let's talk about it. What's actually happening? How does that make you feel? Remember that? Remember our parents asking us how that made us feel? No. And then I'm like, try to, if I look at it and it doesn't appear to be anything beyond normal, because some bullying is normal. I know that might sound mean, but dealing with bullies is something you need to learn how to do in life. They don't go away. They don't go away in elementary school. They don't go away in middle school. They don't go away in high school or college. You find bullies at work. You find bullies in your neighborhood. You find bullies in line at the grocery store. So you need to be able to navigate that. So with Cleo, I'm doing a lot more of I'm going to watch. Kind of like what they tell you when someone's coughing but not quite choking. Stand by. Pay attention because they may need you, but don't intervene right away. So that's the difference. Same with banking. God, I worked in banking, John. I get that. What's going on, Christine? Deborah's saying no. What did I say? That's a no. You're allowed to disagree with me. Favorite poster. Thank you. Waitressing is apparently harder today because people are extra. I don't know, Sarah. I think people have always been extra. Sometimes the bully's in your family. Sometimes, absolutely. Bullying is like criticism. You need it to make you better. I don't know if we need it, but it's going to be there whether we like it or not. And what you do need is to know how to navigate it. And I think we've looked at bullying as this thing that we can eradicate, right? We have a no bullying policy in school. That's impossible. That's quite literally the definition of an impossible thing. Number one, you're not going to see it all the time. Number two, when you see it, it doesn't always look the same. And number three, it's found rampant in all of nature. It's a personality situation, and it can go way too far, without a doubt. And that's when we jump in. Not my real name says depends on the level of bullying. 1,000,000,000% not your real name. 1,000,000,000%. But I would say that everyone in these virtual chat rooms have either been bullied or, if we're being honest, were the bully at one time or another in their life. Maybe both. If I'm being honest, I can remember doing both. Thankfully, much more one than the other. I wasn't much of a bully. If you see pictures of me with my humongous glasses and mustache at age 14, I was in no shape to really bully too many people, but I tried. When it happened in my time, we threw back. I didn't have the ability. I mean, I tried. I tried physically defending myself. I got my ass kicked a lot. I learned how to take a punch. Which is also a helpful skill in life, both physically and metaphorically. Life's gonna throw punches. You better figure it out. Justin says I got bullied a tremendous amount. My buddy Travin says, by the way, cards are all done. Just have to work on graphics for the card box and should be nearly ready to go. So for people who don't know, Travin has been working on this, what looks to be an absolutely incredible Gen X styled card game. And I can't wait to share it with all of you. That's too cool, Travin. I love it. I've been both to bullies. I was known because a teacher said if I was being mean to someone, they earned it. I learned how to take a fall from the roof. I was bullied. I didn't bully anyone. Edward the Duck, thank you. Edward Duck, thank you so much. Joycey, I love you, sweetheart. Were my ears ringing? No, but I assume somebody was talking about me. Gen X Games Against Humanity, is that the one? I had a sibling that was a couple years ahead of me. That was my situation. I had an older brother. I have an older brother. And when I would get bullied, hey, Chris, what's going on, brother? When somebody would bully me, especially when I was real young, they'd be like, you better watch out, that's Nick Kotrides' brother. My brother was a little bit more of a hard ass than I was. And by a little, I mean completely and totally, because there was nothing about me that was in any way, shape, or form a hard ass. Somebody asked, what's different in gym class these days? Number one, I was moderately surprised getting my daughter ready for school. I asked my wife, first of all, she doesn't have gym all year round. Gym class is an only half a year thing where we are. Maybe it's different other places, but that shocked me. I'm like, you don't have gym all year? She's like, no, I don't have gym all year, just half the year. I'm like, okay. That was number one. Number two, no gym clothes. On days where she knows she has gym, she's supposed to wear sneakers and comfortable clothes, but no gym clothes. No leaving your clothes in the locker. No leaving a set of. You have a great weekend as well, Glenn. They don't leave like shorts and a t-shirt and sneakers and socks in school as gym clothes. I mean, I know some of us even had an actual gym uniform that we had to buy. My school was just bring your own shorts, bring your own tube socks, bring a set of sneakers. But that's different. I'm like, wait, don't you guys have like volleyball rotation and stuff? But they just do it in their street clothes. So that's different. Beth says gym is only a half year as well. No rope to climb. Doreen said same there, half a year. Ugly ass uniforms for gym. Linda says I was a fat kid my whole life, dude. That's whether you were fat or skinny, it bit both ways. I was like a walking X-ray at one point in my life. You could count ribs. Yeah, no school uniform, no gym uniform, just street clothes. And Francis says same thing. And Rory says they don't even shower after gym now. I don't know how many of you that was a thing for. We had to shower. By the time we hit middle school, mandatory showers after gym class. And when I say mandatory, I mean, I remember Mr. Behe, after gym, we'd be like trying to sneak out. He would like tussle my hair, and it's like, dude, that your hair's dry. You didn't shower. Get back in there and shower. It was a hygiene thing. So yeah, we had to. And I know kids that talking about like anxiety, that gave some kids anxiety. Stripping down, getting naked, especially if maybe you were a little heavier than the other kids, maybe you were a lot thinner than the other kids. Girls, based on the year and the age and development, I could see all of that causing anxiety. But that was like a check mark with us. It's like, oh, you're going to be anxious about that? Deal with it. Check. Deal with it is what we had. Blinker fluid, what's going on? Talking about all things 70s, 80s, and 90s. And since you called me Unk Blinker Fluid, I'm guessing you're younger, dude. How old are you? I'd love to get some input. If you're younger, I'd love to see what you think about what we're talking about. Primarily, we're talking about now how like in the 70s, 80s, you're 18. So you just are either graduating or graduated. Did you have to change for gym class? Did you have like clothes that you left in gym? Did you have to shower after gym? We had to do all that stuff. And I remember as a kid, I was skinny as hell. I was undersized. I hated having to shower after gym class. I'm being completely honest about it. Am I still going to the gym? Oh, you're still going to the gym? I love that for you, Cindy. I'm not going as often as I should. I'm going to start getting back into it. We were told, okay, you have anxiety. I don't care. Do it anyway. And good, bad, or otherwise, it's the way it was. No showering, but I changed a little bit. That's cool. The other thing about gym class is we had something that I guess the president just brought it back. It was called the President Physical Fitness Test. Linda, thank you. And basically, we just had a parameter that boys had to shower. We didn't do shit. We had you had to do so many sit-ups. You had to do so many push-ups. You had to be able to run so far. And if you passed all of these parameters, you got literally a certificate and a badge that said you passed the president's physical fitness thing. The worst part about it was you'd have a partner marking down how many sit-ups you did. You had a partner writing down how many push-ups you did. And then the teachers would ask you to step up and they would weigh us in front of all the other kids in class. Now, again, I was skinny, big deal. I weighed 90 pounds. That had to be traumatic for some girls, some guys, to have the entire class. I mean, I know they could see you, but to know your weight. And I got to tell you, talking about bullying, we were ruthless. Ruthless when we found out what some of these kids weighed. And it's a shame. It's a real shame. I mean, it's sad that nobody saw that as being a problem. But we did it. That's the way it was. Joseph says I was a fat kid and I hated that. I'm sure there's a lot of us in here. The miles sucked. We had that in Canada too. And it wasn't just that. How many of you guys remember getting lice checked in school? we'd all line up at the nurse's office, and the nurse would sit there while we were in line, at least in my school, with a comb. And then if like you knew who had lice, because the ones that didn't went to the right and the ones that did went to the left. There was no hiding it. You knew that Donald Krisman, true story, had lice. And we mocked them for it. Scoliosis. Yes, hot chick. That was another one. Bend over. Let's see if you have scoliosis. Ours used a toothpick. How did we all go through all of this? It was horrible then. It's horrible now. Toothpick. Is a girl that had no chest. Yeah, it's tough. But you know what? Look at the difference today. There's so little. Once I got through school, there was so little that could really, really knock me down. I don't remember much being, it's almost like you built up scar tissue, both physical and metaphorical. We built up scar tissue because we weren't allowed to express discomfort. And if we were allowed to discuss it, to express it, to tell someone that we felt uncomfortable, that was the beginning and end of it. That's all we were allowed to do, express it and then move on. Yep, scoliosis check. I remember them distributing these red tablets in school. You guys remember those? Where we would chew on them, and if you didn't brush well, if you had a lot of plaque, your entire mouth would turn red, and every other kid in class knew who Yuck Mouth was. How did we not pass that tough on to our kids? No, Cindy just said it. Do you remember the little pink pills that showed if you brushed your teeth or not? Dude, same life. I don't know. I'm not as tough with my kids. I think we tried to create a balance. I think if the kid that was on, the 18-year-old that was on, I'd love to ask him. Blinker fluid. Do you feel that your parents were tough on you? My daughters will say sometimes. We tried to find a balance. Unfortunately, lost a friend to sex because of bullying in school. It was a hard day when I found out. I can't imagine, Joseph. Blinker fluid, no, were your parents weren't really tough on you. Could they have been? Should they have been tougher? I love when I get younger people on. I really do. Some of my videos, I jokingly make fun of what I call the very vocal minority of Gen Z. I think most of the kids were tough. Most of the kids are smart. Most of the kids do the best they can. But there's this I'm going to videotape myself being an ass that is the very loud minority that makes them all look bad. But yeah, he says, yes, could have been tougher. We want to give you the best of what we had without the worst of what we had to live through. But everything has good and bad consequences. Daily fluoride rinses. I'd forgotten about that. I was just a sweet little kid. Why did they bully me? Because easy targets are easy targets. Especially on my younger siblings. Parents always go easier on the younger siblings. We just get tired. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. There's the pendulum swings and it misses the middle every time. I could have been tougher on I'll tell you, I never spanked my children. My oldest says I did. I don't remember ever spanking her. She seems to remember once or twice. If I had boys, maybe that would have been different. There's just something about me being a grown-ass man that I cannot fathom. Personally, putting hands on my little girls, on daughters, I don't think that is... I nose against the wall. I yelled at them. I know I put the fear of God in them in many occasions. But I wanted to be more than my parents were. And my parents did the best they could, right? And they did better than their parents did. Because if I remember getting spanked, they remember getting beaten. If I remember being left to my own devices, they remember being completely and totally ignored. We hope that it gets better with every generation, but we all do the best we can. Christine says, my Gen Z kid is a tough loves our music and our movies. Everyone parents differently. No judgment here. I don't judge anybody. We're all doing the best we can. I wasn't spanked. I was punched. I was never punched. I was spanked. I was spanked aggressively sometimes, but I was spanked. I was never grounded, Sandy, because the one thing that a grounding requires is somebody supervising the punishment. And my parents were never there to make sure I stayed home. Now, some people say they called to check on them, My parents were too busy to call. They were working at the restaurant. I don't think I ever once in my life got grounded. I got spanked and I got stuff taken away. Boomer in the chat, that's good. I wasn't spanked. I was ignored. I got the belt, but only on my behind. I was spanked. While it wasn't fun looking back, I deserved it. Never put a hand on my daughter. I couldn't discipline my daughter. Her mother was the heavy hand. I remember every spanking I got, and I definitely deserved more than I got. That's the consensus. If you ask most Gen Xers, would we change much about the way we grew up, unless it fell into the realm of abuse in our definition, our 80s, 70s, 90s level era of abuse. And I stipulate that because it was different. Abuse meant something different back then, right, wrong, or otherwise. If you ask most of us that didn't feel like we were abused, would we change anything about the way we grew up? Most of us, most of the time in my experience, will say I wouldn't change anything. And yet, when we parented, we changed it. So I think that's interesting. How was the disappointment? The belt should be used a lot more today. I don't know, Blinker. And it's funny hearing you say that. Definitely. Sometimes the threat of the belt was enough. I don't remember getting the belt. I remember being threatened with the belt. And there was something about the look in my dad's eye that said that this wasn't an empty threat. That if I kept going down the road that I seemed so intent on going down, that it was in my near future. That was enough for me. What's going on, Rhoda? I see you. Good to see you. A lot of people, Earl, talking about picking their own switch. Debbie says I wouldn't change a thing. Lori says she wouldn't change a thing. Grounded more than everything. My grandmother made us go get our own switch. Each generation tries to make things a little better. The biggest difference, I think, is everything we tried to do was to make our kids feel a little bit more seen. I wanted my children to feel that they had this right to speak to me about their feelings. Not all of them. Not all of the feelings, all of the time. Pick and choose. Decide when it's appropriate. Parents just let their kids loose nowadays. Yeah, the gentle parenting thing I make fun of all the time, Blinker. I don't agree with it. I think gentle parenting, and then the gentle parents will come back and say that the thing I agree with or disagree with rather isn't gentle parenting. That's permissive parenting. Gentle parenting isn't permissive parenting. However, any example of gentle parenting I've seen is absolutely permissive parenting. So I don't like it. Kid holding up a paddle and said something like, I wonder if they still have these in 2025. We got spanked in school. You know, kids today may find that's crazy. Is that Phil Simms in the back? No, it's big Bills fan. That would be Jim Kelly. I worked for Jim Kelly when I was a kid. I got to work at the Kelly for Kid Foundation and Jim Kelly Sports City Grill and his bar network. So I have real affinity for the Bills and for Jim Kelly. Good evening from the UK. Good to see you. My dad did the 3 count. Yeah, my parents didn't count. My parents mocked parents who counted. 3's okay. When they do the thing to 10, I could never understand. You're giving a kid 10 seconds to misbehave. I'll give you 10 more seconds to do exactly what it is I want you to stop, and then maybe there'll be trouble. Yeah, the spanking in school thing's crazy. Crazy. As a parent, if I found out one of my daughters got smacked in school, I wouldn't agree to it. But I think it's knowing your kid. I also truly believe that my kid would never... My kid would know there'd be a lot worse in it for her at home than there ever was at school if that ever became a situation. So maybe that's different. I never got spanked in school because I was a good kid. I didn't do bad things. I didn't talk back to the teacher. Because I was afraid of what my parents would do. I remember feeling bad that I didn't get spanked. How's that for stupid? How's that for a special kind of stupid? Mr. Stevens had a paddle in the first grade. And when you got paddled with it, you could sign it with Sharpie. And when every name was full, when there was no more space for names on his paddle, he would retire it. It would go on the wall. And as a kid, I remember looking at all these names on the wall going back years, and then my older brother's name was there. I felt bad that my name wasn't on it. And I actually asked him at the end of the year, I know I never got spanked, but can I sign it anyway? And he allowed me to sign it, but in a different color. He wanted to distinguish. He goes, yeah, you know what? I get it. Nuns had a paddle on her desk. In my neighborhood, if somebody had your full legal name, they could put a hand to you. I saw Lawrence Taylor last year during a Giants game. Very cool, dude. I got paddled by Mr. Salisbury. How many of you remember all of your teachers? Thanks, Linda. I remember every teacher I ever had by name. I remember all of them, kindergarten all the way through high school. I doubt that there are any Gen Xers to pump gas. At first, I thought what they meant by that was girls being like, I tell my daughter, don't go low on gas, please, because I don't want you being forced to be in a sketchy part of town late at night and as a woman, as a young woman, have to pump gas somewhere in the dark. That's what I thought it was saying. That's not what it was saying. Corey talks about consequences. That's the thing. I don't care how you parent. Again, avoiding full blown abuse. Make sure there's consequence, true consequence, and that consequence can change. But we grew up. I grew up understanding consequence, and it was an amazing thing. Sometimes I knew what the consequence was going to be. I knew if I got caught skipping school, that there was going to be hell to pay. I'd probably lose my rights to my car. I'd have to ride the bus as a 17-year-old, which in my school, that was like a fate worse than death. Anyone at age 17 either was driving themselves or had a friend that could drive. So bus was for like the maxi zoomed weebies. It was as bad as it got. So I knew consequence. And yet we would do these calculations in our heads as kids where we looked at what it was we wanted to do. We looked at what pleasure doing what we wanted to do would bring us. We looked at what the benefit of that experience was, and then we looked at the consequence, and we engaged in critical thinking, and we weighed the benefit versus the consequence. We learned how to lie. And I'm not saying learning how to lie is necessarily a good thing, but the steps you take to create a really good lie, that's a life skill. And when that lie was pierced, when the veil of that lie was pierced, when you came home and your parents, who never in the history of time have ever asked you how school was, and that's the day they're like, how was school today? You knew you were busted. And then you went through these mental gymnastics about how what exactly am I going to do? Am I going to continue to lie? How far am I going to continue to lie? How do they know? What do they know? How much do they know? Dude, those are life skills. You know what happens if my kid today, if my 8th grader cuts class, the minute she's not sitting in her seat at the start of first period, my phone goes off. Power School. It's an app that all the parents download. I know immediately, hey, Cheektowaga, I know immediately that she's not there. So she doesn't cut class. She can't cut class. It's an entire generation of kids that can't skip school, which on the face of it seems like a good thing. But if I asked you guys, have you ever skipped school? You may give me some of the best stories of your childhood. Things that make you laugh, things that brought you together with friends, things that your parents would probably laugh about. They don't get to do that. And I kind of think that's not a good thing. Yeah, you have to remember the lie for sure. And our parents were like master class and saying, now you said you went where? With who? When? And you had to remember details. Joseph says, hell yeah, I skipped school. Yeah, that way you don't learn consequence. If they do, they learn consequence too late. They don't learn it when there's a safety net underneath them. They don't learn it with these small steps. They learn consequence when life throws them a curve, and that's when they're least likely to be able to handle it, especially if they haven't had practice with it. Too scared, always skipped school, went across the street, went bowling, skipped first period to go eat breakfast, erased messages on the answering machine when I skipped the day. Yes, I did, and ended up cutting grass, caught by lunch. My favorite story was Keith Reynolds and I took his car and cut class. And I'm at the light at Main Street in Wolcott, New York. I might have been 15. I don't think either one of us had a license. Trying to look over the dash and locking eyes with my mother on the other side of the red light. So we didn't get far. It's a good story. If you lied at home, we were never believed. You're a liar. Couldn't skip school. I was homeschooled. Yeah, I can see where that would make it tough. Even teachers knew, like, if you were, not all people were treated the same when we were growing up. There was a difference, I guess, in the perception of fairness when we were growing up. The intent was to treat people fairly or to treat people the way they deserved to be treated. I remember getting a pass, skipped school, got caught, didn't get detention. And I remember asking Mr. Ceccarelli, who was our vice president, like, why? Why? Clutch got detention. Drew got detention. Why? He's like, because you don't do that sort of thing, and I don't want you to do it again. You did it once, you got away with it. Don't do it again. And I'm like, well, that's not fair. He's like, it is fair. It's not the same, but it's fair because you've earned a pass. You've earned the right to get a get out of jail free card. The kids you were with didn't, or if they did, they'd already blown through theirs. There wasn't zero tolerance for fighting. They got to the bottom of who was at fault. They would pull the kids in. Questions like who threw the first punch mattered. Doesn't matter today. You can't even defend yourself. It's zero tolerance. I liked it better then than now when it comes to that. Because I rode the bus, I couldn't skip. The bus driver would remember. Husband skipped, I would call him on the payphone at school. The truth has three sides. It did. Theirs, and then the truth, or perception of truth. My VP was friends with my grandparents. Been listening while baking peach cobbler. I'd better get some, Val. I skipped school. I bribed the principal. I brought him a bottle of Jack. If that's not the most Gen X thing I've heard all day long. Kathy McDorman, how are you? Speaking of school, so far two kids that I went to school with that I graduated high school with. Good to see you, Kathy. Hope things are good. Saw Chris Austin earlier. It's going to a small school. I knew everybody in my school. Parents knew our parents. Teachers knew our parents. Administrators knew our parents. And yet we still got away with it sometimes. Because I think they look the other way. Travis says our punishment was usually psychological. Our stepfather told us that our mom got sick because we were so bad. Scared us to death. Now I see how fucked up that was. Yeah, that's psychological warfare. My mom and dad, they were big on just don't embarrass us. We work hard. Kristen says, I hate to toot my own horn, but tomorrow's my birthday. Happy birthday, Kristen. Thanks, Mom and Dad, for blinking 9 months earlier. You're both drinking, even if you were both drinking. Happy birthday. I hope you have an awesome, awesome day. That's awesome. Happy birthday, hon. Love you right back, Kathy. Catherine, Dad. God, I want to go home one of these days. I got to visit. I saw Shelly Stewart, Shelly Countryman, Tracy Thompson, Tracy Freeman was on last week. It's cool how a lot of you, I didn't know how many of the kids I went to school with, have found me on Facebook. I didn't know that what I was doing was known. And when I first started finding out that people were watching, welcome back, Blinker. To be honest, it made me a little nervous. Go Bills. Lots of birthday wishes going out to Kristen. Guilt was big. I did a video talking about the stages, and I've got to revisit it a little bit, but like the stages, remember my dad was town judge through high school. I totally remember, but it didn't matter. It was your dad, but I also remember, Hank Krasuki my parents owned that diner. Every single state trooper at one point or another was having breakfast or coffee at the restaurant. Go Cubs, go. Every single judge, they all knew my parents. I couldn't get away with squat. Which is why a lot of the time I didn't even try. Thank you, Linda. I feel bad for Bills fans. Don't. We get a lot of hope. We get hope at least. We don't get success all the way through, but we get hope. But so arguing with my parents, and I haven't seen my mom on Facebook. I'm pretty sure she's here. I just don't see her. But she usually watches every week. And I would always joke that arguing with my mom as an adult, especially, has stages. The first stage is me expressing my displeasure. Okay. Now, when you argue with a trained person, debater like my mother, step one is them not acknowledging what it is you're speaking to, and they're really good at it. So let's say mom did something. I'm like, Mom, I really hate it when you do something. Her go-to, and I hope I get as good at it someday, is I did that? I didn't do that. So first, deny, deny, deny. It's brilliant. Step two is sort of, if I keep going, she'll kind of admit to it, but be like, well, if I did that, I certainly didn't mean to do that, right? So it's like this sort of pseudo acknowledgement that I acknowledge it, but obviously I didn't mean for that to happen. But if it did in fact happen, we move to step three. I didn't mean for that to happen, but if it did, it's only because you're so sensitive. It's only because this switch happens. And I see it happening in real time, and I still get so amazed as it happens. And then by the time it's all over, I'm usually apologizing. It's amazing. I hope to get somewhere near as good at that as my parents. But the guilt, the turnaround. Thank you for the subscription, Jamie. Our parents were master class at that stuff. Totally Cool 80s. Thanks for working hard to keep the times and memories of our Gen X youth alive and kicking. Soccer boppers are amazing. Do you guys know the story behind soccer boppers? Because it's not what they were called when we were kids. First of all, blinker fluid or any young people, I don't know if you know what those are. But soccer boppers or sock'em bopp'ems is what they were called when we were kids. Basically, it's a license to beat the snot out of your friends or siblings. You put them on. Hey, Stacy, thank you for my $2. Always want my $2. And you would just like hit each other. Linda for 2 more. Glad your mom isn't on YT with what I say now. She's always on the Facebook side. Nina, thank you for the 50 diamonds. Appreciate you. Stars. Yeah, you would literally see stars with those things, but they were called sock'em bopp'ems, but Rock'em Sock'em Robots sued them, said the name was too close, and that's why they're called soccer boppers now. But yeah, we used to just beat the snot out of each other with those things. Go Bills, Bishop. Thank you for the $2. I want my $2. I got to see that movie, maybe this weekend. We used to beat the skeletons out of each other. Pillow fights were ridiculous. I remember getting so good at taking the pillow, and maybe it's because they were more feather pillows kind of things back then, but you could take the entire pillow and fit it into just the very, very bottom and twist it, and it became like a mallet that you could loosen teeth with that thing. We had Rock'em Sock'em hockey videos with Don Cherry. Hockey Night in Canada. Used to watch it in Buffalo all the time. Pillow fights is where I learned to fight dirty. Because they're balloons, they wouldn't hurt. No, Val. I got to disagree. They hurt. Sheila, for my favorite Gen Xer, appreciate you. Thank you for my $2. Trying to see. Jamie, your videos bring me back and remind me of things long forgotten. I love it. Jamie, thank you so much. Looks like YouTube on my end has put a goal of $88, and we're at 55 right now, just under. So thank you guys. Always tickles the algorithm when I mention it, so I do, but you're under absolutely zero obligation to get me there. I just know it gets pushed out more when we do talk about it. AI is incredible with how much it actually knows. Hot chick with $2. Thank you. $2 at a time is how we get there. Stacy gifting membership. So if you've been gifted a membership, your name comes up in a different color for me. If you have a membership, I can read your comments more quickly, and it prioritizes. So that's what that does. Not sure if I can watch the Braves-Phillies game. Imagine being a Cubs fan like me. We were like crushing it all year, and now we've fallen to second, and we can't get up. I wish I still had my Bionic Man, Steve Austin. Dude, I've got the Bionic Man and Lindsay Wagner, right? The $6 million Man Bionic Woman. End of September, those of you in Florida, there is this thing called the Fanboy Expo. Deb Gen X, $2 for 5 Gen Xers. Dude, thank you so much. Appreciate you. Fanboy Expo. It is the last weekend in September, I think. It is in Orlando at the convention center. I am going 1000%. I'm waiting for them to get back to me, but I plan on being there. Bridget Brown, thank you so much, $5. The lineup is incredible. It is a Goonies reunion. Sean Astin, Amber, thank you so much, $1.99. Sean Astin will be there. Corey, I almost said Corey Haim. Corey Feldman will be there. So the Goonies guys are going to be there. Lord of the Rings reunion's going to be there. Steve Austin, Lee Majors, and Jamie Summers are going to be there. The $6 Million Man and the Bionic Woman, Lindsay Wagner and Lee Majors are going to be there. Now, for me, I was a real little kid, but that was my show. I grew up going, I loved that show so much. I love going to these conventions so much. Joseph, $9.99, Goonies Never Say Die. So remember the Sabres intro on Channel 2 WGRZ? Of course I do. Do I have Wonder Woman figures? No, that was too much like a doll for me as a kid. Although I had a lot of like the Batman, Robin, Superman, Aquaman, all those. So I will be there in Orlando. I am psyched beyond. I'm so excited. Lots of really cool celebs. So watch for it. You suck about meeting them. I'm excited though. David, thank you so much, man. You just brightened my day. $10. Thank you so much, dude. I'm excited. I love that I get to do this. Now, the 99% of the time I don't get paid to go. I pay my own way there. Sometimes I get press passes. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I pay for the celebrity meet. Sometimes I don't. This one so far is all on me, but if you guys are going to be there, I hope to see you. And that's why I appreciate you guys supporting the page, because that's what makes me be able to go and share these experiences. It also allows me to stream the panels. So I'll be streaming the Goonies panel so that you guys can see it. Even if you can't go, I'll be streaming the $6 Million Man Bionic Woman panel so you guys can see it even if you don't get to go. So that's cool. I know you are, Linda. This might be 70s, but I miss my big wheel and the smell of my strawberry shortcake stick and move game. That's an awesome memory. Love the Bionic Man and also love the Fall Guy. Farah, Cheryl, Linda, Jacqueline, Battlestar Galactica. It's so big for us. I always talk about the fact that, yeah, we were outside a lot. We played outside, and my daughters are like, well, they watch the compilations I put together. They see the stuff I remember. They're like, how could you have watched so much television if you were outside all the time? And then I explained to them the concept of reruns all summer. Television knew we weren't going to be watching during the summer, so they didn't even try to get our attention, right? All summer long, we were outside. TV didn't even try to compete. They didn't bother. We didn't have television shows all year. We had 30 or 40 during the regular season, and then they went on break all summer. Now there's 5 episodes to a season, and one season follows the next, and kids are just stuck on their screens. But when we watch TV, we watch TV. And yeah, Linda, sometimes the weather was bad. So although I think we played outside for a lot of that too. But I loved television. I don't watch any network TV right now. Thank you so much. Cajun S, $2. Guys, we're $5 away from $100. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. I love seeing the Gen X icons. Anybody with a membership can flex with different. There they go. Was years after that I found out Face on 18 was on Battlestar. Yeah, absolutely. Saturday morning cartoons still make me so happy. Yeah, I mean, I want to watch TV. I watch some reality TV. We've always been stuck on like Big Brother and stuff. But to be vested in a program, Stacy, thank you so much. That puts us over the top. God bless. Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys. I know I do watch a lot of the old shows still. What do I sell? If you go over to the link that takes you to my merch shop, it's all kinds of stuff. I've got t-shirts. I've got shorts, stickers, all kinds of stuff relevant to Gen X and the times we grew up in. Even if you don't buy anything, it's fun to go look. I watch all the 70s and 80s show. So when we were growing up, here's something I asked my kids, and I couldn't get a real straight answer. If somebody younger is on YouTube still, primarily, let me know. I remember as a kid watching reruns of Leave It to Beaver. Father Knows Best, My Three Sons. Um, Happy Days. David Jones. I missed the simple times when the national anthem came on. I'm kind of going to get to that, dude. Uh, Happy Days. Uh, Later on, it was TGIF, right? With Family Matters, Good Times before that, What's Happening before that, One Day at a Time before. There were all these television shows that were focused on family. And sometimes it was the nuclear family. Sometimes you had mom and dad and the Bradys and all that. Oh, no problem, Rhoda. I don't know. I don't know why they did that to you. I don't know. I don't see the Seavers, Family Ties, Growing Pains, all these shows. And all I can think is that maybe the reason they don't have these television shows anymore is because they showed this idyllic life that didn't really exist. There wasn't really that perfect family, so maybe it was a bad thing that we saw that perfection on television. But I liked those shows. Silver Spoons. There were so many of them. I don't think it set an unrealistic precedent. I think as kids, we were able to differentiate between real life and television. Everybody Loves Raymond. I loved it, but it switched. The kids were barely in it. But the shows we grew up watching, the kids led. The Happy Days wasn't about the parents, it was about the kids. Growing Pains was about the kids. Leave It to Beaver was about the kids. All of this stuff, it was always about the kids. And now it's not anymore. And I don't know why. Different Strokes about the kids. Family Matters, Full House. It just went hard stop at some point. And I really couldn't figure out why it changed. Those of us that have kids that are Gen Z of a certain age will remember shows like Hannah Montana, all these tween shows. That stopped too. There were all these shows that like an entire legion of tweens, 11 to like 13, 14-year-olds loved those shows. Those are gone too. I don't know why. There's been a shift, and I'm just curious why. I miss that programming. I'd love to be able to sit down with my kids and watch something silly. Family Matters-ish, Full House-ish. They just don't exist. Benny Hill, sure. Partridge Family. There were so many for us. Yeah, Saved by the Bell is another one of those tweens. I met Punky Brewster Christine. She's awesome. I don't think kids watch TV anymore. Even the Disney Channel's not really doing it, though. They can stream that stuff. I don't know. I think if you give kids a reason to watch, they'll watch. I would love to get back to an era where kids and their parents can watch together. Yeah, maybe, Aaron. I can see that. Just the 10 of us. Definitely about the kids. Small Wonder. I hated that show. They're on computers. They're not. Actually, they're not. They're on their phones. They're on their PS5s, I guess. I don't know. I think it was better. I think TV was better when there was only one in the house and we all had to watch it together. When everybody gets their own curated. And not only did we watch together in the house, we got to school the next day and we'd all seen the same thing because there wasn't that much to watch. Hey, Travis. Hey, Dorothy. Stamos when he was Blackie on General Hospital. Secret Identity with Jerry O'Connell. I remember that. My wife and... Oh, yeah, I forgot about Matthew Perry being on Just the 10 of Us. Mary Ray, $2. Small Wonder sucked to be sure. Mine, yours, ours. What does online trivia night happen? That's every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. It's online, but I also go live at the Hickory Tavern in Fort Mill, Indian Land, South Carolina. And I stream it live 7 p.m.-ish on YouTube. Apple Bloom. Apple Bloom, where are you coming from? The oldest show I remember, go back. Captain Scarlet, shows made with puppets, both made by the... Okay, UK, that explains the pounds. Thank you so much. Those puppet shows were traumatic for me. Kukla, Fran, and Ollie scared the shit out of me. Muppets were cute. They were fine. But some of those other ones, man. I was just looking at... there was a guy who did this. Creepy as hell. I wasn't a big fan. Thunderbirds. When we just, and even the shows, like I can tell you shows that I'm sure we all watched that you guys had no intention of watching. There, you cannot tell me that any of us as kids wanted to watch the Sonny and Cher Variety Hour. But we dealt with it. Captain and Tennille Variety Hour. There was this thing called Shields and Darnell. Dude, Travin, totally unnecessary, dude. $2 at a time, my friend. Growing up Gen X, Oreos taught me how to deal with my problems. I had them under until the what? Hold them. I read that wrong. Hold them under till the bubbles stop. Dude, that's funny. Is that how you knew when an Oreo was done? Miss Jingles, MMK Jingles. I remember watching reruns on Cheers on a Saturday afternoon. Here's a question talking about something we all watched. Yeah, but what I was talking about was Shields and Darnell. Do you guys remember that? It was a variety show that a lot of us watched because our parents watched it, our mothers watched it, I guess. It was a husband and wife team of mimes. Somebody pitched and succeeded putting together a show that was a husband and wife that were mimes. I got to make a video because you can't believe this stuff. But here's a question I want an answer to because I just learned this today and shocked. I don't see anybody else remembering Shields and Darnell, which is okay. I watched Reagan's press conference. I remember watching the Democratic National Convention. I was 10. You watched what was on, and that's all there is to it. Here's the question. Give me a number. And here's David to the point. David Cox says, I enjoyed the shows before my time. They were on when I grew up. Leave It to Beaver, The Brady Bunch, Gilligan's Island, Bewitched. I will post about watching those shows, and boomers will say that wasn't yours, it was ours. It was both. Because when we got home from school, that's what was on the UHF dial. That's what we saw. So Gilligan's Island, once the chat catches up with me, I want you guys to try to tell me. I remember watching Gilligan's Island. I remember watching it in kindergarten, first grade, second grade, third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade. Every day after school, I remembered when it was in black and white. I remember when it colorized. I remember when it was all the rest. And I remember when it was the Professor and Mary Ann. They had that change. I remember watching Gilligan's Island for a long time. That being said, how many seasons, without Googling it, how many seasons do you all think Gilligan's Island ran? Hogan's Heroes. I loved Hogan's Heroes. While I'm waiting for numbers, Hogan's Heroes. Somebody said 4, 3, 2, 5, 5, 3, 3, 13. I agree with you. 13, 10, I would have said 7. The show was on forever. So many seasons, right? So many episodes. Tons of episodes. 6, 5. 100. They never got off the damn island. Everybody on Earth spent time on that island. The monkeys got to the island, right? So many seasons. A lot of you got it right. I had no idea. I don't believe there's ever a world that somebody could say 2, but somebody said 2. There were 3 seasons of Gilligan's Island. Aaron, you were right. A lot of you guys nailed it. There were only 3 seasons. That blows my mind. I can't fathom that, but I think the reason we don't, yeah, even the Globetrotters showed up. Because there were hundreds, there was like 100 episodes. There was like 35. Yeah, exactly. What with capital letters? I agree. I don't remember ever seeing, I never remember saying to myself, oh, I've seen this one. There were so many episodes. Edward says 98 episodes. There were over 30 episodes per season, I guess. Jessica says it ran 4. I gotta look. I was told it was 3. From a reliable source, regardless. Yeah, Star Trek was only 2 seasons. I knew that. So many seasons that I thought it was only 3. That blew my mind, but it's because we live in a world today where a season is like 5 episodes, 6, and then we wait 5 years for the next one. Land of the Lost. Here's a question. How old do you think Jim Backus was? Mr. Howell. And now there's only 3. I used to have to be like, oh, that's how I got down this rabbit hole. I wanted to know how old he was when it started. Assuming there were like 10 episodes, 10 seasons, I thought he would start at like 70 and go until 80. Do you really think he was in his 40s? The guy looked 70. You guys are lowballing it because you've watched my show. You know what I'm going to say. Thank you. He looked 60. He was Mr. fucking Magoo. He looked 100 years old. I'm 55, so you're all telling me, all of you that are saying 40s and 45 are saying that Mr. Magoo looked significantly younger than I do now. 65, 48. He was like 52. Steve Holland and a couple others got it. He was like 52. Thank you, Skylar. He was only 52 years old. Dude, I remember thinking he looked like 70. Yeah, Steve Austin on the shelf. All right, that didn't shock you. How old do you think the skipper was? Yeah, Mrs. Howell was old. 67. Thank you, Nina. He looked, come on. Mr. Magoo looked 100. Skipper was in his low 40s. I think he was like 42. So he was only 45 by the time it went off the air. Now, the funny thing is, if you look at Skipper when it started, Alan Ladd, and then you looked at him after like the third or fourth special, Escape from Gilligan's Island, Rescue from Gilligan's Island, the cartoon Gilligan's Island launches into space, he didn't seem to change. So Alan Hale at 42 looked like Alan Hale at 72. Why did they go gray so young? Primarily because they didn't ever color their hair, I think. Also, filterless cigarettes and bourbon for breakfast apparently isn't such a good thing. What, sweetheart?
Where are the contact lenses? Sultana.
Come on, you have to ask Mom. Sultana and Mommy share.
They're under the sink, but I just...
Hey, Lieben. They would be in the middle. 1, 2, 3, maybe the second to last drawer down. And you want to make sure they're 5 and they should say 5.5.
Wait, in like these little boxes?
No, those are mine. Hers should be like out. There should be a bunch of them just sitting. Guys, talk among yourselves a minute. You're fine. She needs 2. I thought I said second. You're right. So it would be that one, but they're not there. So maybe, hold on. Here. There we go. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Sultana, I need it.
Contact lenses. Andy Griffith. What was the skipper's real name? I don't know. I just learned Lovey's real name. Mrs. Howell's name was Eunice, I think. Abe Vigoda. Yeah, I'm older than Fish. I've done that video. That shocked the hell out of me. I mean, but I think we want to look younger now, right? I think we feel younger. I think we act younger. I think we live our lives a little differently than our parents and our grandparents' generation. And some of us want the outside to look like the inside, to feel like the inside. My hair, sometimes I'll color it, sometimes I won't. My 13-year-old likes it when I color my hair. She says, that I look more like her. So my youngest, we had late. We struggled to have a second child. So it took us 8 years between our kids. So I'm 55 years old with a 13-year-old. She's like, I like it when you look more like my friend's parents. I'm like, okay. I actually like when I look younger. It's okay. It makes me happier, so I do it. But I'm really bad at it. I'm not one of those people who secretly dyes their hair because half my videos look like this and half don't. Hey, sweetheart.
Hi.
This is the one right here.
Hi.
Yeah, Alan Hill was Skipper. Natalie Schaefer was somebody I saw that. That was absolutely Mrs. Howell. I love that you took time out to be a dad. It's my favorite job. Never felt an urge to color my hair at all, but that's my thing. Yeah, it is what it is. I like the way I look. And I like the way I look with it. It's I don't know. It's like I said, it's not a secret. I always got a kick out of Ronald Reagan. I remember they would ask, the princess is right here, Stacy. I always remember Ronald Reagan being asked at press conferences if he colored his hair, and he always said no.
Hi.
The guy was 80 with pitch black hair. Of course he colored his hair.
Yes.
Jonas Gumby. I didn't know that. Lots of haze for Cleo. You two look alike, we've been told.
I think we do.
You got her running around the house yelling, I want my $2? Absolutely. You haven't seen Better Off Dead yet, have you? Well, that's one to see. Good dad, your daughter needed assistance. Star Trek was 3 seasons. It was 2 years, 3 seasons, but I think season 3 was part of season 2 held over. Something crazy like that. Lieben says hello. A lot of people say hello. Totally agree. The joke was work for me. Twins. I'm Gen Z, 1995. I don't remember dial up. You know, in dial up, for those who don't know, just ended. AOL today is the last day for anybody who's using AOL as an internet service provider through dial up. That program's ending today. Big Dave, how was Greece? It was awesome. There's my $2. So we have a running joke because of that movie, and you'll see why when you see it, I always ask for my $2.
Oh.
And a bunch of us get it. And some people, like Sir Racer, give $2 for 5 people. Will Cleo do Gen Z videos? Excuse me. Well, that's up to Cleo.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah. Yes, school has started for me. I've been in school for, I think, 3 weeks now.
3 weeks.
Or 4.
This coming up will be your 4th week.
Oh, okay.
Dial up. Why? Because it was the best we had at the time. I remember being really excited when a new AOL CD came in the mail. I remember being really excited when where I grew up had an actual. So AOL had these different numbers that you could all use to connect. And if you grew up in a small town, then for me, hey, cool guy, you're entitled to your opinion. So I grew up in a small town that didn't have an AOL access number that wasn't long distance. So for every second I was on AOL, I had to pay long distance charges. That was rough. As soon as I was able to get onto AOL and not pay long distance, that was a game changer. And we used to have to pay for AOL. Remember how you get 500 free minutes? Once the free minutes were up, we paid for every minute on AOL. What's Cleo's favorite Gen Z movie? Oh, I know this one. Hunger Games.
Oh, yeah, the Hunger Games.
She loves the Hunger Games. And I'm proud of her because not only is she the kind of kid that loved the movies, she read all of the books in addition to the movies. Gail, thank you so much. And the books are better. CompuServe. Yep, John.
Speaking of Gail.
Oh, yeah. Tuning in from London, England. Hope all is well. I remember CompuServe. Reading is the best. I mean, I loved Stand By Me. It's probably my favorite movie. The book, The Body, I liked it even more.
Yes, I want to read Divergent.
Linda says loves Hunger Games and Divergent series.
Yes.
What's the favorite toy you've gotten in your collection? For me, it's got to be the Millennium Falcon because it's the toy that I wanted all growing up. And I think all of us have it. Some of the girls say it was, the Barbie Dream House that was just too expensive. Some people say it was the aircraft carrier, G.I. Joe, that took up half the house so we couldn't get it. For me, it was, I asked for it time and time again. My parents tried. They just never quite got it right. Remember when you canceled your AOL service and they kept charging you? I do remember that. Sandy says my 20-year-old daughter loves the Hunger Games. Stand By Me is my favorite movie. If I had to pick one, it'll be tough. Stand By Me, Breakfast Club, Field of Dreams. I like a lot of movies in different genres. If I was pushed to pick a movie that's my favorite, it's probably Stand By Me.
What's up, Potterhead?
Oh my God, she looks like Princess Andre from the UK. Andy from the UK. What's a Potterhead? Somebody who likes Harry Potter, I would guess.
Oh, no, I haven't really. I probably should.
Nancy Drew books. I remember we read those. The girls did. I read the Hardy Boys a little bit. I read a lot. Do you guys remember Here's a memory unlock, maybe. Do you guys remember Encyclopedia Brown?
I'll be back.
Okay, honey. I loved Encyclopedia Brown as a little kid. Because you got to try to play along with him, right? And try to figure it out as he figured it out. I thought that was cool. Steve wanted the G.I. Joe aircraft carrier. It was too big. It was expensive, but it was too big, too. Oh, dude, if there's a cast tour of Stand By Me, I saw that they're planning on having one event with Stand By Me. I don't know if they're going to tour. I won't miss it. I'll find a way, hopefully, to get there if they do. Thank you, Robert. Not the Goonies. I like the Goonies, don't get me wrong, but Stand By Me was more... I don't know what I liked about it more. It wasn't my generation growing up, right? Because it was a throwback, but it felt like us. Even though it's Sandlot, the same thing. The Sandlot, Stand By Me, those movies didn't take place in the 70s, but it felt like they could have. I saw myself represented in those movies, I guess, a lot. What other of the month clubs did we have? My father stormed the beaches of Normandy. I related with every single kid in Stand By Me one way or another. I felt like the outcast, right? Like one. I felt like the brainy kid in one sense. All of them. And then the cool thing about Stand By Me is it seemed to follow me throughout life. When I got to go to the Netherlands on a school event that I had earned in my junior year of high school, it was the featured movie on the plane. So back then, before we could see movies on the back of a chair, choose between thousands that we wanted to see, there was a featured movie, and the lights on an intercontinental flight would go down, and a screen would come down at the front of the theater, and we get these things that look like a stethoscope that punctured into your brain, and it was cool. I loved it. Vision Quest, Ben-Hur, Breakfast Club, Stand By Me, Fast Times. I lost the comb. Did I ever read Ranger Rick magazines? No, that's a first for me. I love The Outsiders as well. A lot. Lost Boys I loved a lot. Train! I just like the symbolism. I love the quiet scenes in Stand By Me. Stand By Me was ridiculously funny and it was really serious. And I think for me, the thing that sold Stand By Me as my favorite was the silence of watching words go across that old green screen, old school computer. I never again had friends later in life the way I did when I was 12. So Richard Dreyfuss narrating is an author. He's writing about his friend Chris, and he never again later in life had friends the way he had at 12. And then he stops and he adds, Jesus, does anyone? And it just hit me. Did we ever have friends like the ones we had at 12? Because the friends if you were fortunate enough to grow up in a neighborhood, forget school. I'm talking summer vacation, home after school friends, neighborhood friends. That was, you could tell them anything, and they took it to the grave. We became blood brothers, spit brothers and sisters. We played hotbox and manhunt. We played Red Rover together. We went to war together. It was amazing. And even if you didn't have a lot of friends, if you were the outcast, then I'm willing to bet that most of you found the other outcast. You had one. You had one friend. It was amazing. And it's what I love about this. I feel like I'm not saying that I know you guys personally. I'm not a weirdo. I know we're not actually friends, but I love getting together every Sunday and talking, sometimes repetitively, about things. It feels good. I'm still friends with some of them. When I see their names, Gail says, I'm glad I'm still friends with them. Catherine Dorman that just came on, Welkley. She's known me since I was a child. Cherie Tyler comes on sometimes. Chris Austin, Shelly Stewart, Tracy. These are my 12-year-old friends. And somehow they found me on Facebook. At first I was mortified. I didn't ever want anyone that I grew up with or knew me personally to find me making videos because I felt kind of embarrassed by it. But now that it's what I do for a living, yeah, we're friends, Travin, but you know what I mean, dude. We're too old to remember if you repeat yourself. I do feel like we're friends. I feel like we're an entire generation of friends, and every Sunday I come up to your house and I knock on your door. I ring your doorbell and I ask your parents if you guys can come out and play. That's the memory. No texting, no calling ahead. Mom, I'm going out. Well, who are you going to play with? Whomever I find. And there might have been a hierarchy. You go to that best friend first. Well, they can't play, so I'll go to plan B, plan C, plan D, plan E, and went down the list, but it was always the same. Hey, Mrs. Parker, can blank come out and play? I love that in my neighborhood, kids still do that. That come and knock on our door. Yeah, Big Dave K, come and knock on our door. My door is always knocked on here. I love it. My daughter, Cleo's friends, knock on our door constantly all day long. It's the best. Which decade? I missed it. It's going really fast now. Will you ever go back to regular Friday night shows? We're going to. If, the only show we had on Friday night was the Three View Mirror, and we are coming back from hiatus next week, if all goes well. We just got to decide on a day. Monday doesn't work because of football. Friday didn't seem to work well. We'll figure it out. Friends till the end. Chucky. Home for the streetlights. Come on. Friends are not. I just love that we're a generation of friends. We're a generation of strangers who are friends. Would I rather have been born in the 80s or the 2000s? What I will say to that is what I always say. If being old, if being an older person in my 50s, the price I have to pay for having been born in the 70s, I'll pay it all day long and twice on Sunday. If you tell me that I could be young again, I could blink and erase all my life experiences, and instead of being born in 1970, I could be sitting here 25 years old having been born in 2000, I wouldn't take the deal. Everybody, if we're lucky, gets old, but not everybody gets to grow up the way we did. And even our kids, I think, get it. I think part of you wishes you could have grown up the way we did, a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. But I like.
But I was saying, I grew up knocking on my neighbor's door and saying, can they come out and play? You guys do that.
Yeah, we do that. I had to change my sweatshirt because it had, like, the name of school.
Oh.
Like the school name,
Yeah. Kids love technology too much. I will challenge you to say that's changing, maybe. So we were kids that were a little enamored, right? As we move into technology, Atari was a big deal. Nintendo was a big deal. We were excited. When cell phones came, I remember thinking, oh my God, I'm walking around outside on my phone. I'm in my car on my phone. Technological changes were exciting. My oldest daughter saw Nintendo turn to PlayStation 2, 3, 4, 5. That was exciting. She remembers smartphones coming into existence. It was exciting. This one was born in this world. It's not exciting. iPads aren't exciting. Cell phones, smartphones aren't exciting. The graphics, the games, it's not exciting. They're transitioning back to, I'd rather play football in the real world than play it on screen. Right or wrong? You'd rather play with your friends outside than play with them on a game inside.
Yeah.
If I said, okay, you and Cora can play Roblox and she's in her house and you're in yours, you'd rather go play outside. We do show the kids the old Atari. We've shown them the old trust me, in my family, she has to see a lot of old stuff. It's frustrating the sheer volume of sports being aired now. I don't even like if we get to talk sports for a minute, and we're coming close to the end. To be honest, my OCD is hitting hard on that 193.37 at the top. I figure 3 more $2.63 will calm me down. I don't like that NFL football is Thursday night football. That it's Saturday, that it's Sunday, that it's Monday, that it's Sunday night, that it's Thursday night, that it's over here and it's over there and it's in London. I liked it when NFL was Sundays and maybe in the playoffs see a Saturday game. But Sundays and Monday night. That's it. That's it. That was football. Stacy, you were already helping. You didn't have to do that. Carol Burnett show. I love that show a lot. That's me and my mom's show. I would take my 1970s date all day. I'm with John Kotrides. Yeah, listen, we're going to get old. People that are born in 2000 will someday be old if they're lucky. We just grew up in a magical time. We grew up in the twilight of digital and analog changeover. It was cool. I love that I grew up with no one being able to track where I was and what I was doing. I don't know. Get on your bike and be gone for hours. And not have anybody know where I was going. I didn't go anywhere special, but in my mind, I was exploring. Remember getting on your bike and going exploring? There you go, Trev, and finishes us up. All right, that's it. We're good. We're there. That gets us there. That's awesome. Linda, thank you. I appreciate that. Foot in both worlds is the best way to describe it. Thank you. That's exactly what I'm trying to say. And we're good at both. Nobody can claim I don't understand the world we live in. I use the technology for a living now every day. But I remember life before it. And I'm happy for that. Sonia says, I'm grateful I experienced it. There'll never be a time like it. Gone for hours on my bike. No cell phones, no internet, just pure joy. It was what it was. All right, guys, we went a little long today, a full hour and a half. I hope you enjoyed it. Nothing really on the agenda as far as personal meet and greets. If you're going to be traveling to the Charlotte area, I'm still doing the Tuesday night trivias in Fort Mill, 7 p.m. You can find it on my calendar at genxjono.com. I'm trying to get out to Orlando at the end of September. Keep an eye out for that if you're going to be there. I think it's a great fanboy expo. It's absolutely worth looking at. If ever you're wondering if I'm going to be somewhere, throw me an email. I don't reply to every email anymore. I've given up trying. If it's work related, if someone's got a project like Travin, I'll try to get back. It's just gotten out of control. I cannot manage it any longer. But if you want to say that there's a convention going on in your neighborhood, reach out to them first. Throw them an email, throw me one. I'll see what I can do. Otherwise, I will see you next on Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern time for Tuesday night trivia, and then back again here on the Sunday night Wonderful World of Generation X. What does Cleo think of the stuff I do? What do you think of the stuff I do?
What was that?
Stars.
Oh, I think it's...
Do you wish I didn't do it?
No.
No, so then you're okay with it.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
She likes that I get to spend a lot more time with her than I used to when I was in corporate banking, so that's good.
Yeah.
Love you guys too. I'll see you all soon. Thank you so much for everything. Next week, Sunday night, Wonderful World of Generation X. Same bat time, same bat channel. See you then.